Hi, my name is Haya Shulman, and I'm going to explain a little bit in a complementary way what Patricia just presented. So why are there all these threats? That's what I'm going to try to explain in 10 minutes. So first of all, modern society is increasingly digitalized. Our services are online, communication is online, even driving is becoming autonomous, everything is connected. This comes with great opportunities for democracy, for society, for law and order, for healthcare, but also comes with vulnerabilities. So I'm going to tell you three main properties which create threats in this digitalized society. So first is centralization. Internet started in the 90s as a decentralized platform. It allowed everyone to post its content, to communicate, to not to wait for radio or TV to broadcast its ideas, and so on. But what I'm going to argue is that slowly this decentralization is converging into centralization. Our content, instead of being hosting our content on individual websites, we are now posting it on Facebook. Instead of sending emails using email servers in different companies, hosted in different companies, we're using Gmail, Yahoo. Instead of using travel agency, we're using Airbnb and so on. We're using even physical infrastructure, such as critical infrastructure, or services, physical services like taxis are now using online platforms. And this convergence into centralization introduces threats. Now it's great because it offers many opportunities. These are great platforms, great services, but they are also a great target for attacks because they introduce a single point of failure. So for instance, Facebook announced in 2018 and also before that identified campaigns against elections, for instance in the United States. These platforms are being censored by different countries. The centralization allowed leaking Yahoo accounts. I think it was 3 million Yahoo accounts. Twitter also deleted many accounts recently that were thought to influence elections. So these centralized platforms, they're used a lot by the attackers to take advantage and to change public opinion or to distribute fake news. And that's, of course, not good for democracy. Now, another property is exploiting vulnerabilities. When the content is hosted in centralized infrastructures, some of which Patricia mentioned, not just social networks, but also infrastructure. This allows the attackers to target that infrastructure. There are attempts or there are evidences of attacks hijacking traffic to monitor communication between governmental agencies. For instance, you can see the traffic hijack that was done by an ISP, Internet Service Operator, in Belarus, redirected communication between governments in Mexico and DC to travel through Moscow. And this went on unnoticed for at least half a year. We all heard about attacks against critical infrastructure in the Ukraine by Russia. And recently, we are monitoring attacks in the last elections in Germany, traffic hijacks to SPD servers in Germany and the UK. So this centralization where servers are hosted nowadays, it's not like individual companies host them. They are typically outsourced to centralized infrastructure, and by targeting those centralized infrastructures, attackers can influence democracy, can influence public opinions, and can steal intelligence and communication Another problem is digital sovereignty and specifically trusting hardware and software that we use nowadays. A lot of it comes with backdoors. There are evidences both from security companies which provide security services and from security agencies. So we have antiviruses which are suspect in having backdoors. We have PCs and laptops which are suspect in having backdoors, and we use those platforms, of course, in our everyday life. In Germany, specifically, Germany doesn't produce hardware itself, so Germany has to rely on hardware from other sources, and this dependency on hardware and software also creates loopholes allowing to influence democracy, influence public opinions, steal information, and other attacks. So that concludes my talk, and I will just briefly mention that what we do is at Fraunhofer Institute in Germany is to address these and other threats, to create security for critical infrastructure and for civil infrastructure. We monitor traffic hijacks to keep ahead of the attackers, to identify when our servers or services in Germany are attacked, when information is being stolen, and to design defenses against it. Thank you.